There was a time in my life that if you had met me, you would have thought I was the most generous person that ever existed. I gave freely, I gave my time, I gave my energy, I gave my money, I gave anything. All you needed to do was ask. And to an extent, you think when you see me from the outside, you say, this person is so kind. But the honest truth is, it wasn't from a place of kindness. It was from a place of trying to please people and win validation, maybe win friendship, win opportunities, just get people to be on your side. And one of the problems of being in this kind of situation is that most of those people identify that there is some form of insecurity in your life, and they begin to take advantage of it, and they use it to take from you till there is nothing to take again. And there came a time where I started finding myself again. I started understanding my identity, my self-worth, and who I was. And then I started putting boundaries in all of these things. I was able to say no sometimes. I was able to reduce the way I was giving and sacrificing myself for people. And one of the things that shocked me the most was most of these people that I thought, I had given myself freely from, they all left. They left because they were not actually there genuinely. They were only there simply because of the benefits that they could get from me. And the moment they saw that that benefit was not going to come, or it had ceased, they left. And them leaving got me to ask myself this fundamental and very important question: who am I when I am not performing for these people? If you were here last week, we talked about the body, and today we're going to go deeper in that conversation, which is to talk about the soul. This is not just a conversation for whether you're a person of faith or not. It's important for you to hear this conversation because you do have a soul, and there are so many burning questions in your heart that you have not been able to answer. And I believe that by the end of this video, some of those questions, if not all, will be answered. The soul is not just a religious concept. The soul is your personhood. It is where all your emotions, your logic, your creativity, every single thing is locked in. When God created each and every one of us, God breathed life into us. That breath that God gives to each and every one of us is not just oxygen. It made us who we are. And that breath is what makes us care. It's what makes us know how to worship. It's what makes us to pursue purpose. It's what makes us to be uniquely who we are. Your soul cannot be recreated. Like, there can be no version of you that can be created again, even if you have an identical twin. That is how important and how unique your soul is. The soul is not just a poetic metaphor or something that isn't real, that you cannot see, you cannot experience. It is the deepest part of the human existence, and it was designed with the same intentionality as the body by a God who wanted you to have a deep, rich and full life. One of the most profound stories I encountered when I was preparing for this video was the story of C.S. Lewis, who was one of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century. He was both an Oxford and a Cambridge professor. He was someone who made so much intellectual discoveries, and he was atheist at the time. And one of the things that made him start believing that there was a God and even found religion and everything was the fact that he believed that every hunger that the human being experiences already has something in existence created to satisfy it. For instance, when you're hungry, there is food in existence that satisfies you. When you're thirsty, there is water in existence that satisfies you. So when the soul hungers for unconditional love, it hungers for transcendence, the soul hungers for purpose, it means that there must be something that has been created to satisfy it. And he said, and I quote, "If I find in myself desires in which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that I was made for another world." He found God simply because he followed his own reasoning and logic, and it led him to a logical conclusion, which was there was a maker behind all of this. So here are 3 ways you can know that you have neglected your soul. And if you see any of these signs, or you see all of these signs, it's a call for you to come back to what truly matters. Number 1 is the people pleaser. This is the person that just keeps giving to every single person. You're not giving because you're convinced that, okay, this is what I should do in this situation, this is the right step to take at this time, but you are giving because you expect something in return, either from that person or you're expecting it in return from the world. At the end of the day, it has moved from giving to becoming a transaction, and it will get to the point where you won't even have any boundary and you keep giving and giving. And the thing about takers is they know how to take and take without even giving you anything back in return. And if you consistently keep giving of yourself, you will begin to lose a sense of self, because at the end of the day, you will get to the point where you don't even know who you are. You're just being swayed by whatever is happening in your environment. Number 2 is social media spiral. One of the things I experienced when I didn't understand that I had a soul that needed to be taken care of is I would always be on social media consuming every form of content. And what did this breed in me? Jealousy, envy, seeing your peers, your classmates achieving things that you're looking up to, and then at first it will come from admiration, and before you know it, you just start having that quiet, silent jealousy in your heart against them. You start resenting them. You're just consuming information that you also do not need. There are things that you actually do not need to know. The moment you know it, there are days that you're just moving about your day and then you just see a particular video of something happening somewhere. You woke up very happy that morning, but the moment you saw that video, that just affected your mood and it just changed the mode of your entire day. That is how influential social media is to our lives and our soul. It's very important that you're careful about what you're consuming. The third one is intellectual farming. This is a situation whereby your brain is not working at the capacity that it should work. You can't dream as big as you're supposed to dream simply because there are just some limitation in your mind. And one of the ways that this happens is when you're not reading, when you're not consuming quality content in your life. If you're consistently consuming just general social media content, or you're just consuming conversations happening around you, that you're not reading anything or doing anything or thinking bigger, you just see that regardless of how big you used to dream, you just start dreaming smaller and thinking smaller. When I wasn't reading, when I wasn't actively feeding my mind, I remember that I couldn't even fathom some of the things I'm doing now. It looked so impossible to me. But the moment I opened myself to the word of reading, things got better. So if you're in that place where your thoughts are always small, you're always thinking about what's the worst that will happen before you can take any decision, it might be a sign that your soul is being depleted and you need to nourish it. Now, there are scientific research that backed up these 3 things that I have told you. Dr. Ellen Hartfield was able to research and confirm the fact that emotions are contagious. If you should go and watch what you're not supposed to watch, and the feeling that the social media post was supposed to evoke was anger, you will just see that you were normally a normal person, a cool person, have just suddenly become a very angry person. This is why rage-bait content always work on social media and they always go viral, because that emotion that the creator of that content was trying to get you to exhibit is exactly what a whole number of people who continuously share that video are exhibiting. Also, the Royal Society for Public Health Studies also confirmed the fact that consistent and significant social media use is associated with things like anxiety, depression, poor body image, and loneliness. Now, it's important to state that soul neglect does not always announce itself. It's not that dramatic. You might not even know. It's just that over a period of time, if you continuously engage in all of these things we've discussed, you will get to a point in your life where you will look into the mirror and you will not even recognize who is looking back at you. And if that is the point you are now, it's not a problem. You can still find your way back. You can still begin to nourish your soul all over again. You must understand that the soul wasn't designed to be depleted and completely abandoned. God is the one that created the soul, and if there's any problem with it, God restores. And one of the things I have learned from personal experience and experiences of others is that God meets you exactly where you are. There were days where I felt exactly all those things I described in the last point, the social media, the people pleasing, everything, and then God will meet me exactly where I am. It might be on that same social media where I'm doom scrolling and just over consuming the content there, that I will just see something that speaks exactly to the situation that I am experiencing. And as soon as that happened, I started taking intentional decisions. Instead of doom scrolling, I started listening to TED Talks. I started listening to more motivational content, more content that could replenish me. And after that, then I started reading. I started with very easy reads because at that time, my concentration level was completely distorted. I had not read a book that was not work related in maybe 5-6 years. So I can't just start and say, oh, I want to read an abstract book. So I started with fiction. And the fiction I started with a book that had multiple short stories. The day I was going to the bookstore, I asked them, I want an easy read. I think one of the books they gave me then was Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad and all of that. You can start from the very basics. You don't have to start with that complex book, that's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Think and Grow Rich, or one of those books that are just purely motivational. You can start with something that is very easy. Aside from reading, when I wanted to move into motivation, I downloaded an app called Audible, and whenever I was driving or whatever I'm doing other tasks around the house, I would just have my AirPods in my ear while I'm listening to the books. And also some of the books, most times whenever I try to read them on my digital devices. Notification will come in and I will forget I was reading a book. I'll go and answer the notification, and by the time the day has ended, I forgot that I even started reading a book in the first place. And that moved me to shift from reading digital books to actually intentionally acquiring and purchasing physical copies of books. All of these were steps that I was taking in different ways just to change the way my soul was being replenished. Also, the University of Success on Reading says that reading for just 6 minutes reduces stress and anxiety by 68%. And this makes it more effective than music, walking, or even drinking tea. And honestly, one of my motivation for reading at the time was because I wanted to grow my business and build a successful business. So one of the books I read was Think and Grow Rich. And right now, I have read that book 3 times and I still intend to read it again because that was really one book that made a major impression in my life. And I always recommend it to every single person because I believe that you will find yourself in that book and you would find the confidence that you need to move to the next level in that book. Even reading my faith-based book is something that has really inspired me because some of those stories, when you read the story of people going to war, they did not have anything and God just came through for them. You just read stories of, a very young boy who is a teenager killing a very big giant. It just helps to open your mind and see that there's almost nothing you cannot achieve in life. Another major thing that honestly it won't be complete if I share this video without mentioning it is my daughter, because at the time I was always pressing my phone and in my head I thought about it that I think at this point I have gotten to the point where I'm irredeemable, but this new young child, she's still redeemable. We can still help her life. So I would always research and try to watch videos on how do you ensure your child builds a reading culture or your child becomes a reader. And every single time I will see things like, buy books for them, coloring books for them, do this, expose them to books early. However, the most important thing you can do is to read in front of them. So at that time, when I consistently heard read in front of them, because children learn by example, I started, saying that if truly I am desirous of ensuring that this young woman builds a reading culture, it's important that I begin to build the reading culture myself. So these were all the things that I was able to incorporate in my life that helped me to move from where I was, which was the point of being a people pleaser, which was the point of not even understanding who I am, what I wanted to do in life, who I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to be, to actually becoming who I am today. Also, it's very important for me to mention that during the time when I wasn't properly investing in my soul and in myself, I had a lot of anxiety. I would always be scared. I would think I cannot achieve so thing. I would think, the world has already put a cap to it because I'm a woman. There are things I cannot achieve and everything. But the moment I started investing in myself, I just got to know that no, the only ceiling that can be there for me in this world is the one I placed there by myself. This doesn't mean that everything will always work perfectly for me. I pray it does, but it just means that regardless of circumstance, I will be fine. And whatever I'm supposed to achieve, I will achieve in life. And the most important influence in my life that helped with my soul is actually finding God. That is where all of this is. You can do the reading, you can do everything, stop social media and all of this, and then if you do not find God at the center of all of this, at the end of the day, you will still find that everything is empty. Another important thing about finding and knowing God is understanding the fact that if you know and you serve the God that created this entire universe, it just means that nothing is out of control. Yes, they might be out of your own control, they might be out of my own control, but it cannot be out of the control of the one that created our universe. Another thing that someone must always have to ensure that your soul is consistently nourished is that you should have an attitude of gratitude. You should always be grateful. Whether things are happening in the way you want it to be, you should be grateful. Whether things are not happening in the way you want it to be, you should be grateful. And this attitude of gratitude is scientifically backed. It's not just maybe a religious concept or something. One of the world's leading experts in gratitude discovered that consistent gratitude increases well-being, optimism, and life satisfaction. And it also reduces anxiety and depression. As we close this video today, I want you to remember that the soul is your personhood. It's actually who you really are. Yes, you can't see your soul. What you see is your body. But that you, that unique you, is your soul. And that soul must be nourished. When you're not taking care of it, it will show up in people pleasing, intellectual farming, depression, anxiety, and so many other other things. I'm not saying that it is not taking care of your soul that is the sole and only cause for depression, anxiety, and all those things. No, all I'm saying is that it might be a pointer to the fact that there is something deeper that you have neglected, and that is why I have shared tips on how you can take care of them. And I'm not just sharing tips from my personal experience. We have also shared tips in the video that are scientifically backed, research that have been done by universities and reputable doctors, so you can see the authenticity in this topic. And the good part is that regardless of whatever is happening, you should always know that restoration is always available. We use all the tips that I've given you, but most importantly, you can't afford to anchor your life for maybe what you achieved and other things, because those things move. You can achieve something today and one government policy is going to totally eliminate all those things that you have achieved, but there is something that can never move, which is God. God is going to be that constant thing that will not change. So you should anchor your life on that God. As we go into the next week, I want you to pick one of three things that you're going to do. Pay attention to what you've been consuming. The second thing is, are you feeding yourself intellectually, or you don't even care about it? You're not a reading person. If you're not someone that reads, there are video content that can genuinely help you and even nourishing your soul. And finally, what is that thing that your soul is hungry for? Sit down deeply and ask yourself. You don't have to rush everything and say you want to achieve all three of them this week. You can just take one this week and try to answer that question and make a change where necessary. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. This was, it's not, very relatable conversation, but it's a very important conversation that every single one of us needed to have. Ensure you share this video with everyone that you know, because every single person has a soul and everybody needs to understand how to ensure that your soul is better, because you can't be better than what you have in you. You are exactly what you're feeding yourself. The way your body is exactly what you feed it. If you eat too much, you'll be obese. If you eat too little, you might be malnourished. That's the same way it works with your body. Just think about it for your soul and everything in alignment. So share this video with everybody. Don't forget to like this video. Please comment and subscribe. This is also a series, and next week we're going to be going deeper into this series. We're going to be talking about the spirit. I've mentioned God here and there in this video, but this time we're really going to tie it together and see how we can even find our spirit and ensure that all three things are in alignment to help us achieve our purposes in life. Also, you feel free to send an email to me at buildwithtemi@gmail.com. I would love to read from you. Till I come your way again next time, I remain Temitope. Bye.